And hello. Welcome to the Absolute Football Podcast, the absolutely non-league show, talking everything National League North, and National League South, in collaboration with our good friends at NL Full-Time, who are on their way. Don't worry. But for now, it's just the three of us. And first of all, I must apologise. I'm not sure. I am the substitute goalkeeper again. You have to put up with me. Hopefully, no clangers. But it's Christmas, so we will see. Of course, we wish all our best to Shah and everything that's with her, and hopefully we'll see her soon in the new year. But I have two ready-made helper elves with me this evening, and is there a more beautiful helper elf than the man in the middle? Ben is here with his Christmassy gear. Ben, how are you doing?
Well, I mean, everyone talks about what they want from Santa's grotto. I can tell you what he's already given me, a grotty cold. So I'm off to a terrific start. I'm all right, Sam. Nice to be back on. I'll say we've had a couple of weeks away from it, haven't we? But we've a busy Christmas period coming up. So going to keep in mind on all that with football-wise. But we're all good, all ready for Christmas. How are you doing?
Yeah, not doing too bad. As you said, like it's all kind of crept up really quickly. I think it seemed like I still had 3 weeks to go, and then that's just disappeared on us. So, we thought we'd come on and do. So we've got this show tonight, and we've got the Premier League quiz show tomorrow night. So just to kind of see everybody through. But I think as we discussed off air, I've got shed loads of wrapping, so I think I'm going to be up till about 2 o'clock tonight. But we'll see. Once I've located the sellotape, that's the first challenge that I have to endure this evening. But of course, it's not just us two people. There's the wonderful Jen is with us today, and we'll discover why there's a footballing smile on her face today as well. Jen, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I can't complain. All my wrapping's done, everything's done. Ready to go to my mum's on Wednesday after work. But yeah, I'm not really in the Christmas spirit this year. I don't know why. It's not hitting at the minute. But hopefully, once I'm at my mum's, it'll hit. Once I'm there, hopefully.
It'll start. I think a lot of people find that this year. It's just kind of, I kind of was and then wasn't, and then trying to kind of get it back. So,
I'm defo faking it at the moment. I might be wearing a Christmas jumper with a Christmas hat, but until Christmas Day, I probably won't be in the Christmas spirit. I think it's just been one of those again this year. But I don't get excited for it anymore, like I did, when you did anything anymore, do you? So it almost feels like it's a bit forced a little bit sometimes, but. Still going to enjoy the day, with the family. Being with the family is the most important, isn't it?
It's the family stuff, and that's it. Being with the people you want to be with. And even if you're not, hopefully having the best Christmas times that you can. But fake it till you make it. That's the story of the podcast, to be honest. And here we are. But it's not just us. There's some wonderful people coming and join us in the chat as well. We've got Super Graham is with us. Good evening, Graham. Saying Maidstone giving Luke an early Christmas present at the weekend. # we don't talk 0-0 as well. We might have to talk 1 or 2 this evening. We've got Zach with a good evening to you. Hope you're doing well. Danny's here. Good evening to you. To Sean, hope all is well, and say Jen's Christmas has come early with a Morecambe win. Yeah, spoiler there if you haven't seen the results, but I'm sure you all have. Hello as well to North Stannis this evening. All festive greetings and happy Christmas as well to you, Matt. Best wishes to Shah if she's watching. Really hope she's doing okay. Yeah, and we share that out with you all as well. So I hope you're all having a fantastic Christmas. Right, so I'm kind of here to try and help move things along. My knowledge on non-league is honestly not great, so hopefully Ben's going to be my big helper today. But so I've started in a good place for Ben before we obviously get Robbie's coming and joining us shortly. But we're going to start in the south, which is the most wonderful place in the whole of the UK, of course, in the south. I can say that for once on the podcast. I think once the south is outnumbering the north, Ben. I've never seen it. Over to you.
It's like saying there's been a few probably outstanding results, across the south. Obviously, like you've just alluded to, a couple of 0-0s in there as well, which I know Mr. Luke would be happy about. I guess, Jen, I'll start with you. Any standout results from the south for you?
I'd probably say Eastbourne and Dover. That looked like an unreal game to see, especially with the 5 goals that Eastbourne got. But there's a few draws and a few 0-0s in there. But for me, it's got to be the Eastbourne and Dover one for definite.
Yeah, I've been pretty sure as well that for Dover as well, that would have been a hard-hitting Saturday, because they actually had a game where all spectators were allowed in for free admission. I don't think a lot of them are probably going to want to come back after that. Over 4,000 turned up for the game, and it was Eastbourne putting on the show for once, and they've been struggling. down the bottom. They took a heavy defeat at Torquay not that long ago, but now they've started to find some goal scoring form now. I think that's 11 goals in the last month or so, at least, just from those 2 games. Obviously, Monk's a 6-0 win against Hampton as well, I think it was.
Yeah.
So they're in a very good place at the moment and starting to find their way back. But again, another big win as well. In there, Worthing 5, Farnborough 0. Worthing's train keeps on going. I mean, that's like, I want to say it's like 12 wins in 13 now. I mean, Adam Hitchell, what's he done since he's gone back in there, Jen?
It's hard, isn't it? Like, I do like Worthing. I think they're a really good team. And I do think it's like you look at the table and you just like some of them teams we didn't even expect to be anywhere near the top, especially like Hornchurch. I don't think any of us could have predicted that they would be top of the South at the minute and possibly getting a promotion. So I do like Worthing as a team. We obviously did play them in the FA Cup. But it's hard to say at the minute. Like they're still there and they're still fighting, but once you get past Christmas, I think that's when we'll know where everyone is.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, because Worthing have actually gone to this situation a number of times, and since they came up, from the Isthmian League, they've been, in and around sort of that top area, and then suddenly towards the end they sort of just slip off a little bit. But I think just from my perspective, what I've seen, of Worthing, having watched a lot of their highlights, obviously I watched the game from Saturday. They've fallen up after half an hour, which just shows, the ruthlessness they've got. Obviously, Brad Dollaghan again, on the goal scoring sheet, and it's crazy about how, like I said, we're talking about York City. The amount of goals they were scoring last season, obviously the amount of goals they've scored this year as well. Hitchwood, like, he might get criticism for trying to play football, in the 6th tier when you've got teams that will just lump it forward. But my God, they are an entertaining side to watch. And you always know you're going to be guaranteed goals with them, aren't you?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's again another big, like I said, with Western-super-Mare, just scraped past Chippenham Town at the bottom of the league. Probably not a terrible result on paper for Chippenham, but where they are in the league, I think still was it 2 wins in I think it's 22 games now. They're in a bad place still, and I feel for Chippenham because they're a club I've got a lot of time for, and they've got some very good people there, and I just feel like that things are catching up on them a little bit. They have been punching above their weight for a number of years at this level, and I just feel like it's getting to that point now where it might start to creep up on them, because this league is getting so much tougher by the year. And you look at some of those sides that are in there, like Salisbury are tipped to have a really good season. They're near the bottom. You've got Eastbourne playoff semi-finalists near the bottom. So it's just so open. And like you were just saying as well about the the title contenders as well. You've got Hornchurch again. They fought to get another point. I think it was a last minute equaliser they managed against Enfield, and they had 10 men as well. I'm pretty sure. No, Josh Hare got sent off in that game pretty early on. But still, they're just about chipping away, Hornchurch. But like I say, you've got teams like Worthing and Western that are really catching up on them now, aren't they?
Yeah, I think there's, as much as like there's a fight at the top, and obviously there's always a fight at the bottom. I think after Christmas, you'll know where everyone is, whereabouts. Obviously, you've got the big fixtures coming up. You've got Boxing Day fixtures there, like the most important ones. But also, I think Dorking, you've got to keep an eye out for Dorking at the minute, because I feel like they're slowly coming back. They obviously had a bit on and off, but they're slowly getting back up the table now and getting the results that they need to be in and around possibly getting promoted. So I definitely think Dorking are one to watch at the minute as well.
Yeah, I think they've definitely picked up some form now. I mean, they're still struggling, players-wise, in terms of got a lot of injuries. I know they've just signed Pat Casey in the last couple of weeks, who we actually had on loan at the start of the season at Maidstone. He didn't really get it looking. I think it was a big attitude problem I think we probably saw with him. But he went there. I think he got a goal in his debut, and he's starting to really help them now. And, to come back against Slough, obviously Slough again, another team that are really fighting for points. And always a tough side to play against at Arthur Park. So, to come back from behind, get another win, and like I say, it just keeps them within that pack at the moment. So they're only 3 points off the top at the moment, and even with, Worthing's game in hand, the worst case scenario being 5 points. So it's still getting very close, even at this stage. So bear in mind, we're nearly halfway through. It's maybe not as close as as it was last year, but that just gives you some context about what last year was like, really. So I think like I say, Dorking now. And the good thing about Dorking, obviously, we know is they're experienced at this level. They know how to perform at this level. And Mark White obviously knows how to get through the big games, against some of the tougher sides. And again, they'll be ones to, like I say, to watch, won't they?
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that one.
Well, I mean, there's not much. I mean, I'll get my one out of the way now because there really is a lot to talk about. See, Hampton 0, Maidstone United 0. Yeah, we don't talk about 0-0s, and there's probably a good reason for that because most 0-0s are drab, and this one was a bit drab, to be fair. We should have probably scored after about 15 seconds right from kickoff. Bit of a confusion between the defender and the goalkeeper, Matt Rowley. Papadopoulos had a shot cleared off the line. And really, up until that point, there wasn't too much. I mean, I don't think we played terribly, but I don't think we played that well either. I think, I mean, I always knew that Hampton were going to have a bit of a resurgence. They've, obviously, their new manager, Alan Dowson's now gone in there. He's just brought in Max Kretschmar. He's a player assistant manager. Again, a player experience at National League level with Woking and Wealdstone, where he'd just come from. Thankfully, he wasn't actually in the squad, which I was a bit surprised about. Yeah, look, like Hampton, I thought they showed a different side to their game compared to when we played them earlier on the seasons. They lacked a little bit of backbone, but they gave it, quite a good go, and probably forced our keeper into more saves than we did, their keeper. But yeah, I don't think it's a terrible point in the road, albeit, where they are in the league, on paper we should be winning that sort of game, and yeah, I do get that. But when you bring in a new manager with experience he has, and he knows the club inside out, Alan Dowson, having won the league with Hampton, nearly a decade ago now, I think it was. Yeah, like they're always going to have like a new lease of life, and I think if he gets some right players in, he's starting to bring a couple of decent players in, they might have a chance of staying up, to be fair. Even though I had a relegation favourites, but from our perspective, yeah, probably not the greatest result on paper, but look, it's another clean sheet. I think that's 3 league clean sheets in a row. So again, we're being hard to break down, which has been good. But ultimately, big problem is scoring goals, which it has been all season. But somehow we're only still 3 points off the playoffs. So, and I know Qatar Matt's just put a comment in saying, "I'm hopeful of the playoffs." To be perfectly honest, I don't think we're good. Well, we're not good enough for the playoffs. And, I've always said, I sound like a broken record a little bit with it. If we went up, we'll come straight back down anyway. So I think until we get investment in the football club, we're not going anywhere, put it that way. I mean, I like to say, we get the players and we have a little bit of excitement at the end of the season, but ultimately I've experienced a lot of that. We had all that excitement in the playoffs at the end of last season, then fell at the final hurdle, and it does really hurt. So I don't know if I'd quite like that heartbreak again this year. I think maybe, if we finish sort of 9th, 10th, that's a realistic, show for where we are at the moment. But it's not, like I say, it's just a lot of way things with the football club. You just feel like there needs to be new life in that. And we've been asking for new life, but it's still a bit of a way off at the moment. So, yeah, not great really on paper, but there you go. Yeah, just in as well, number one from Danny, Torquay losing to both other T teams in a row. Now they're out the way. Potentially, yes. That was a big result for Tottenham at the weekend. And, Jen, Tottenham have actually been in really bad form, to be fair. I know they've had a lot of players injured, but again, I think they've done now 2 wins over Torquay, both at home. So they beat them in the FA Cup earlier in the season, and now 3 points against them at home. But that's probably a damaging result for Torquay, would you say, at this stage?
Yeah, where they are at the table, I think it can be a bit of a damaging one, especially if they're wanting to obviously push up and get as far as possible up in the table. They need to be winning the games like that. They need to be pushing for results with other games as well. And I think they're a team that I feel are a bit like they've got at one stage and then they go off and they go on a bit of a tangent for a few games and then they'll come back and win a few more. And I think they're a difficult team to say whether they'll get promoted or what, but I think if they just keep doing what they're doing, they could be a shock for the South this year, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, Joe obviously would be able to tell us better than anyone at the moment, and I know how desperate Torquay are to get out of this league. I mean, they are a massive club at this level, and the fact that they're in there, I think it's their third season now, back at this level, and they are in a place where they're just desperate. It doesn't matter how they do it now. And, they sort of feel like they need to win the league because the pressure they must have felt at home, obviously having lost in the playoffs last year, must have been humongous, even for the 4,000 crowd they probably had behind them at the time. But yeah, it would have been a really tough one for them to take. But again, like I say, away form it's been a bit, questionable for Torquay. I think they always bounce back more at home because they've got that big crowd behind them. They've got a nice pitch to play on. And when they do get playing football, they are a good side to watch. So I think hopefully it was just an off day for them, but look, they're only still 4 points off the top as well. So they're not a million miles away from it. All it takes is a couple of results over Christmas. They could be back out there again. So just shows how close it's been this year.
Oh yeah.
Another surprising result, maybe in terms of the context of things, maybe Chelmsford City 0, Epsom United 1. And what on earth is going on at Chelmsford? They've gone full time this year. Spent a lot of money on proven players at National League level and Football League, and they're sitting 15th. What is going on there?
It's so difficult because one of my friends, she's just got a job there, so she's working there, and she's just graduated uni and stuff. So she's like fully gone into it, got no idea. She's a Leyton Orient fan, so she's just like gone in and fully like immersed herself in it, and she absolutely loves it. And she's just like, I don't know what's going on in this club. Like, it's hard to say because they are really struggling. And I think for me, I'd say they should be a team that are either in the playoffs or near the playoffs. They shouldn't be where they are right now. And with the results and stuff, it's like they've lost 3 on the bounce now. They've won 1 and then they've lost the one before that. So it's something's not right in the club at the minute, whether it's players, management, whatever it is. Is it time for a change? Who knows? But it's difficult to say with Chelmsford what's going on with them.
Yeah, I think it was always going to be a huge pressure job for Angelo Harrison, albeit like he's done it at this level already with Braintree. But again, he had very limited resources in comparison to what he's got at Chelmsford, where he's been given a big budget. And don't get me wrong, they've recruited really well. They brought in some of the best players in the division. They brought Dom Adesanya in, but unfortunately he's just gone out for injury. And they rep March, and that's a big blow because he's club captain. And then you had Jack Barham sitting on the bench. Obviously, I know Lyle Taylor's been in goal scoring form, and that they can't just rely on him for goals ultimately. So, I know a few fans have been calling for the manager's head, and sort of blame him a little bit. I think the problem is, that home form has been a bit of a problem for them. I think that's someone said to me, home defeats in the Rowan competitions. Obviously, lost in the FA Cup. It was a great opportunity for them to get into the third round. They didn't take it. And they are in a bit of a vulnerable place. We've got to play them over Christmas, and I'm fully expecting by the time we go there, that they'll have a bit of a reaction there. The Melbourne Stadium is a very difficult venue to go to if the weather's not on your side, because it's a very open ground. Obviously, being an athletics track, if the wind gets in your way, it becomes very difficult to play football on. And I'm not saying that's an excuse for why, part of the reason why they are where they are, but I think maybe some players thought it was going to be a lot easier than maybe what it proved to be. And it always happens a lot with our teams, I think, that have bigger budgets in, the lower levels, is they come in expecting to win the division, and I don't get it wrong, I had them down to win the playoffs at the start of the season, but, in fact, they're 13 points off the top at the moment is just showing where my prediction's been going. So it's a bit of a damaging one for them, to be honest. But, I've just looking at other results as well, just to knock on. Bath City 2, Salisbury 0, fairly localish game, but great win for Bath City. They've been, flirting again with relegation. Goal scoring has been a major problem, but I think it was a big boost to them that they got their goalkeeper back. Obviously, he got his red card rescinded from his game against us, which I still said it wasn't even a penalty, let alone a red card. So that would have been a huge boost for them. Also, Hemel Hempstead 0, Maidenhead United 0. Also, Horsham losing at home to Chesham, a rare one for Horsham. Been in very good form. I think as well, if I'm right in saying that's their first defeat in 17 games. I think. If there's any Horsham fans in the comment section, please let us know. But again, big win for Chesham.
Yeah, I feel like Horsham are one of them teams as well that they're in and around and they're kind of like there, but then they're not there. And I think them losing was a huge one this weekend. I think it was massive for them, especially as a team that I think want to be pushing on and doing what they can, and that's got to hit them, especially if it's like the first in 17 games. You're going to be like, okay, they're not used to losing because we've won so much, but the only thing you can do is you're meant to bounce back after a loss, and hopefully they can do that.
Yeah, this is a bit of a challenge for them now because they've been on such a high in the last, 2 or 3 months. I think they've been unbeaten since September, and they've gone on a brilliant run like they have. And again, a level that they're still very new to. but then again, like I say, they're still sitting sixth for the moment. They're still sitting in the pubs. I mean, I think that ultimately, I know Dom DePaula's aim will be, as it probably has been since the start, is to make sure that it's safety first, get 50 points, and then anything on that is beyond a bonus. And the fact they're probably 4 wins away now from securing safety in the division is a huge boost for them. And fair play to them. I think they've been absolutely outstanding. I said at the start of the season that they would be the surprise package, just because they've got that momentum behind them. They've got a good support base. It's a tough venue to go to at their ground, and they are proving themselves to be competitors in this division. They're not here just to make up the numbers. So, but a great win for Chesham. They got on the road again. They've been very inconsistent at times this season, particularly in the last probably month or so, where they've been slipping away a little bit. But what a huge boost for them on the road, that's for sure. Also a couple more. I think just Tunbridge Angels 2, Dagenham Redbridge 2. Dagenham, who've been in great form, to be fair, recently. Lee Bradbury starting to put it back. Yes, Danny, I'm fully aware. I'm not sure. I know that. But in Char's absence, I can give it a good go, but I know my accent won't be as good as hers. So, nice to have you in the chat as well, mate. If you've got anything you want to add to the Torquay game, if you were there, then please let us know. We can have your say on it. But yeah, I think other than that, I think we've covered pretty much all the games in the division. So, Sam, you can put us through to the league table, if you may.
The table, right? Let's see what's going to happen, because we do have some new graphics tonight. So if it does what it should do, which it will do, no, don't worry, we're now back in business. Jen's with us. There you
go. So yeah, again, it's now heating up again at the top of the table. We've only 2 points separated, separating the top three. So it's Hornchurch still hanging on to top position with 43 points. Second place is Worthing with 42 points. Just below them on goal difference is Western Supermare, also on 42 points. Dorking Wanderers in fourth on 40 points. Torquay United fifth on 39 points. Horsham sixth on 38 points, and Hemel Hempstead making up the playoffs on 36 points. And in the relegation zone, we have Enfield Town on 20 points, Slough Town on 19 points, Eastbourne Borough on 18 points, and in last place still is poor Chippenham Town on 12 points. Come on, Chippenham, please sort yourselves out. I love going to your ground. I don't want to have to don't want you to go down this year. I'd love to go back again. But yeah, plenty of time still only halfway through the season, so yeah, there's still plenty of time for it. Right, I think it moves us on to the National League North.
Let's do that. I just warn you, I think if I look at the preview, there's only going to be me in a minute, so don't panic. They are coming back.
Well, whilst you're doing that, Sam, I'll read out Joe's match report, who's just popped in there. So he says, a match report on Torquay versus Totten. Host nicks a goal and defended against the Almo of Torquay, throwing the kitchen sink, taps microwave and the oven at the home side. 3 off the line, a penalty blasted over the bar, and 0 points. On another day, we win that one easily. Yeah, I did see the penalty from Jordan Young. It was pretty abysmal, wasn't it? Oh. They don't seem to concede many penalties, actually, Tossen. Bear in mind, if it makes you feel any better, Joe, we missed 2 when we went there early in the season, so you're not on your own. But at least it wasn't their goalkeeper pulling at 2 blinding saves. So, but yeah, it's still. Hey, I'd rather be in your position right now than ours. So you can't be complaining too much, surely. Right, into the National League North. Jen, what's your standout result from over the weekend?
So first, before we get into anything, I just want to mention the Macclesfield game. Obviously, it was postponed due to one of their players, Ethan, being involved in an accident, which I just want to give my whole thoughts to his family, friends, teammates, staff at the club. It's such a horrible thing to see, especially so young as well. He's just literally gone to play a game of football and he's just not made it home, and it's heartbreaking, especially around Christmas time. So it was the right decision, I think, to postpone it. I don't think they would have been physically able or mentally able to get on the pitch and play a game of football. So I just wanted to give my thoughts out to all his family, his friends, teammates. I hope they're all doing as best as they possibly can. I know it's going to be a tough situation for the players to be in, especially when you've seen him not even 12 hours before and the next day you're waking up and being told that he's died in an accident. It's not easy, but yeah, I just wanted to give my thoughts to his friends and family and everyone involved at the football club.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think we can all say on behalf of the podcast, we do send our thoughts and prayers to Ethan's family. No one should ever go from a game of football and not come home. It's really as simple as that. And like obviously Macclesfield have had such a great couple of weeks, on the pitch. Obviously with FA Cup success, and they've been doing fairly well for their first season, in the National North. But obviously, it's come at an absolute devastating, cost a little bit. And I couldn't believe when I saw that. Such a young lad as well, a huge career ahead of him. And that's the thing. It's when you get something like that, which thankfully it doesn't happen at a lot of football clubs. Like say in the sort of top game, top levels of the game. But when it does, it can hit everyone very hard, can't it? From from group staff, the supporters, the people who work behind the scenes. It's a absolutely horrible situation, and I can't imagine, what the thoughts of obviously his friends and family, and and obviously everyone at the club goes wrong, because it's like, where do you sort of go from here, really, isn't there?
Yeah. I remember when it happened I think it's about a month or so now. It happened in the NFL, and he died, and the teammates, they obviously had to go out and do the game, and they were broken. And it's like, how do you come back from something like that? It's incredibly hard, and I do feel for the teammates, and especially as a lower league club as well. As a fan, we all know how close we can be to the players and stuff, and some people will generally have a friendship with Ethan, and it's hard to know that the next time you go to a game, he's not going to be there. So I think as a lower league club, I think it definitely hits a lot harder, because you, on a personal level, have a lot more connection with the players than you would at like a Premier League club or whatnot. So yeah, I just think it's absolutely heartbreaking. But the main thing is he went to play the game he loved, and that's the most important thing we can take away from this. It's just an absolute terrible, terrible accident that happened.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a very valid point as well. The fact that, like you say, a lot of clubs at these sort of levels do build relationships with, the fans and the players. After every game at Mates, I always see the young kids waiting outside for the players to get autographs, get photos taken. And I dare say there'll be some younger fans that, would have said that Ethan was their favourite player, like 100%. And like the fact, like I say, the next time they go to a game, he's not going to be there after to take photos and just have a chat with. Like, it's just heartbreaking, and but then again, this is where football is very good, at bringing everyone together, and particularly with such a big community in non-league, and even to extend, it's gone up from obviously to the football league and beyond, the respect it's got, and I think again we can only say absolute like I say, sending off thoughts and prayers, like I say, to Ethan's family and friends, and obviously everyone connected with Macclesfield as well. Because I say, we're all thinking it's been an absolute horrible time for you. So yeah, no, that's what I just wanted to make that dedication. But no, thanks for bringing that up, Jez. Really appreciated. Sam, I believe we've got another one waiting in to come and join us.
We do. He's got his sleighs parked up, and he's ready with us. Ready to join us. He's made it. Welcome to Rob. Rob, how are you?
Yeah, good evening to the panel, and good evening to the viewers. Really well, thank you. Just my day job is trying to help deliver Christmas right now. I'm pretty right. I've parked the sleigh. That guy with the other guy with the white beard with the red cape. He gets an awful lot of credit for one night's work, doesn't he? I think it's an awful lot. He's got an awful lot of elves, let's say.
Gets a lot of holiday as well, doesn't he? His allocation holiday is pretty impressive. So.
Exactly that. But so apologies for joining you a little bit late. And Ben, you've literally won. You've won the show if it comes with coming crest. Good effort there as well, Sam. To be fair. I'm sorry, I couldn't do that. Just listen, I was just in the background listening to the last bit, and I don't want to prolong it anymore. I just want to add our condolences and thoughts for everybody at Macclesfield. And I think it's a real difficult decision for them. When is the right time to come back? I hope they're due to be at home on Boxing Day, and it feels like if the players and management are ready, it might be a good time to pay their tributes to him, but it could also still be so early. So I think for those waiting on a decision on that, if it hasn't already been made, just remember that sometimes life and people's lives is more important than football, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know they're at home as well, and not saying Boxing Day against Buxton, and like I said, it would be the perfect opportunity to really, recognise it and everything. Like you say, it can be so raw, and it's still, like I say, a very difficult situation for all those players. I mean, look at, obviously, was it Billy Viger, at Chichester, obviously, that was in an obviously had an accident whilst playing, and then they had a good couple of weeks off, and they probably really needed to go. But then again, you might use it as motivation to say, look, let's get back out on the pitch and let's do it for him a little bit, isn't it? But like, it's such a hard balance, and whatever decision they come to, I fully support Macclesfield and what they do with that, because at the end of the day, it's got to be down to how the club feel about it, really.
100%.
Well, that's it. Well, let's get into the National North in that case. Jen, what was the standout result for you over the weekend?
I'd probably say South Shields and Chester 3-1 to South Shields. I just think South Shields have really put in an account on for themselves this season. I feel like none of us would have predicted them to be at the top of the table right now, and the fact that they are, and they're only 2 points ahead, it's not major, but they really are putting a good account of themselves out there, especially in the north. So if we want to come up to the National League, it could be a good away game. Just saying, if you want to. Not like telling you to, but yeah, I do. I've really got a soft spot for South Shields at the minute. I think it's a team no one expected to be there, and they're really putting a good account of themselves out there for sure.
Yeah, I think they found a little bit, of a form again recently, because they were starting to slip away a little bit over the last month. Obviously, Fard were taking advantage of that, but obviously they got knocked out of the FA Trophy the other week against Macclesfield. And obviously it come off the back of a defeat to Kidderminster Harry as well, but they've picked up, back-to-back wins now, which sort of puts them back in contention. I mean, they've been up there all season really, and like I said, against the big money spenders in AFC Fylde as well. I think on paper you probably looked at those two in Kidderminster being the top three, of the National North, but again, like I said, what an absolute stunning job that they're doing down there at the moment. So it's absolute fair credit to them. Rob, what would be your standout result over the weekend?
Well, not just because it's one of the two more local ones to me, but because I made a poor decision at the weekend. I better cover Peterborough Sports and Scarborough. Just for point of detail, if there's any Scarborough fans watching, I think it was 4-0 actually, not 3. But even more embarrassment for me, really, because I was making my way back straight past Peterborough around about 3:30, 4:45 from the game I was at, and I'd seen the fixture and I thought I really ought to pop in there. Anyway, I'm just coming around the edge of Peterborough, had a little look at the score, and I saw it was 0-0 at half-time, and I thought, you know what, you've swerved one here. Crack on. I got the other side of Peterborough, and then I was stuck in traffic, and I looked again, and it was still 0-0, and it was about an hour gone. And I was like, yeah, great decision. Well done. You've missed the 0-0. Look at the final score. 4-0. I'm just going to confirm that because I'm a bit worried now that maybe I got it wrong. But
correct. It was 4-0. Visit myself.
Yeah. Dom Tier, Kieran Weleji, Richie Bennett from the penalty spot, and Rio Allen scored 4 goals in 29 minutes. And they're the 4 goals that I would have seen if I'd turned off and gone to Peterborough Sports against Scarborough. So a tough result for Phil Brown and his team. They're a bit up and down at the minute. It must be a heck of an adjustment for him. I mean, we gasped when he took on as manager at Kidderminster, didn't we? Thinking this guy's managed in the Premiership. And I think most people know that Peterborough Sports is a bit like Bedford Town, and 1 or 2 others are massively punching to even be in the National League North. So yeah, they're not going to pull off results every week. But for Scarborough, well, that's a pretty impressive away win, isn't it? Scoring 4, not conceding any. And in terms of the table, they remain in those playoff positions, and that's the first one in 5 for them. So they'll have gone home very happy on Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well important as well that they came back from a pretty damaging defeat on the Tuesday against Radcliffe 3-0 at home. And like I say, it's a result they probably haven't been used to too many times this season, where they've actually, like you say, they've been brilliant to watch Scarborough. I think they've been, again, probably one of the surprise packages a little bit, I found anyway. And, to go away from home at Peterborough, again, like I say, there'll be always a tough venue to play against. When you go to these sort of smaller grounds in these divisions on more difficult pitches, it's always going to be, maybe almost an uphill, battle. But, especially with Peterborough as well, needing the points at the bottom. But, you got to give Scarborough some credit, for doing a proper professional job there. So, yeah, that's a great result, for them as well. A big result as well at the top of the table. And they seem to have, almost found their mojo a little bit. Mr. Harry's beating AFC Fylde 1-0. And, that's a big result. Because I'll say Adam Murray, we know, has been probably under some pressure under there. Because, I think all of us had him nailed on to win the league this year, having obviously just missed out on promotion last term. But, again, that's the sort of the result that makes you think, although they're still 12 points off the top, can there be a resurgence in the second half? Because, like I say, there's still only 22 games been played so far. What are we reckoning, guys?
Yeah, very good. I think you mentioned a few minutes back that about the big hitters in that division, and the cream is rising to the top, isn't it? Well, the staggering thing about Kidderminster being up to fourth now is that they only have a goal difference of +2, which is wildly different to the teams all around them. And they've only actually scored 29 goals in their 22 games so far. But they sit fourth in the division on 37 points. They've found a way to win an awful lot of games by one goal.
It's usually the 1-0s that go against you, but for Kidderminster they seem to be going for them. So yeah, it's a weird one because we've obviously got them in the FA Trophy next, so it's difficult to say what that game's going to be like. But yeah, the game that they had was they scored on the 6th minute and that was it. Game done. Everyone could have gone home at halftime.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, we know we've got someone in our chat that we're all pleased to see. Our Shah's joined us. Hello, Shah. Great to see you in here. Shame I'm not doing as good a job as you do. So we can't wait to have you back. Put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd be looking like a canary, wouldn't you, if she got her yellow headphones on and she was next to you on the screen. with the yellow and green. Yeah, we miss you, Shah. Come back soon.
To be honest, I think if I had the headphones on, I'd be sweating one bit out because I've got the hat on and I'm actually getting a bit warm in now, so I'm going to take it off for a little bit. But no, great to see you in it, Shah. Obviously, when we get to the National League, feel free to have you stay on the Dale. I know a good win for them at the weekend. So, by all means, we miss you too. Don't you worry about that. I know, obviously, Spenny fan Chris will be in the chat, and I think he has sent his match point, which I'm just finding now. Yep. So obviously they played Oxford City, 1-1 draw there. Another draw for the Moors at home. Tom Pugh rescued a point in the 75th minute. Boxing Day away to Shields now. Not looking forward to that game. You never know. Spenny, they're only, I know they're obviously quite a bit off South Shields at the moment, but you have to remember that Spenny more having a good season themselves. Don't write it off just yet. Like I say, you always tend to get over the Christmas period as well some pretty interesting results, don't you? Because I always find at this time of year is how much the players conduct themselves, on Christmas Day. I know a lot of players are strict about, the man that they eat. Obviously, I know they're probably drinking and everything. And it is a difficult time, particularly for clubs like, in the National North and South, ones that probably are part-time, where they feel like they want to let off a bit of steam because in the day, they work full-time, do football on the side. It is a difficult balance, but they know full well that, they've got a job to do. And, you'd be interested to see how that pans out over the Christmas period, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're spot on. You're spot on with that one. Well, I was just having a conversation earlier today with somebody about the level of football that they play at. And I was asking them if they're still at that level, it's kind of more Parks, county football. And I said, is there still the kind of drinking culture or is it dropping down even to that level now, that the need to look after yourself, the sports science side of things and stuff like that? Because as we know, half now nearly of the National League North and South, or probably a third at least, between a third and a half of the teams are full time now, aren't they? So it just, that professionalism's dropping down more and more and more. But yeah, you're spot on there, Ben, because I think there will still be some clubs in and around these divisions where they are part-time players and they do let the hair down a little bit, but without being too stupid, if you know what I mean. Yeah, absolutely. It's always a tricky one with games on Boxing Day, isn't it? How does the manager play it? It doesn't go down well when they say to him, "We're in on Christmas Day training."
Yeah, I know some clubs have already done that. I mean, I think the obvious one I saw the other week was Nigel Clough at Mansfield saying that he's not letting his players train on Christmas Day because they said they get better results when they don't train on Christmas Day. And to be fair, I can see the point about that because you feel more refreshed, won't you? So I don't think that's a bad thing, not training Christmas Day.
I know we're training Christmas Eve morning and then we're not training Christmas Day. They're going home to spend time with the families and then obviously play Boxing Day. But I think for footballers, I think they deserve to have Christmas Day. Even though the footballers and they are entertainers, they still have family and friends off the pitch that they want to spend time with. So I think they should be able to do that, definitely.
And I think you'll get the best out of the players as well if you don't bring them on Christmas Day, because I think it can go away. You cannot tell me that every single football player is happy going in on Christmas Day to do training. So they would rather just be at home with their families, have a nice meal, just being around everyone. So I think you probably mentally, I think you get probably better out of players by doing that. I mean, I can understand why clubs do it because at the end of the day, you don't want to change your routine. You train the day before a game. But ultimately, at this time of year, you've got a lot of games to play as well. I mean, obviously, in the National South, I know we've got 3 games over the Christmas period, so it's going to be, tough just in that regard. And I think the more they can avoid training in some ways, the probably the better, because you might get feel a little bit more fresh. And this is where squad unity does come into it now a little bit. So I will be interested to see how that gets on. Obviously, I know one club that I know a few of their players probably be having a few coffee drinks because otherwise, Jono and Bernard wouldn't be having it any other way. Otherwise. Radcliffe 2, Leamington 1. Radcliffe staying inside that top 7 at the moment, still chipping away at the points. Still a game in hand as well. So obviously winning that, they could take them into 4th place. So again, another good win for them at home, and showing themselves that they're not going to go down without a fight. Albeit, I'll be interested to see how they manage this in the second half of the season, because it's going to be a very difficult task for them. Again, obviously those sort of clubs with not as much resources, obviously some of the top spenders, but there's a team spirit there, and team spirit wins you a lot of points during the season. Trust me. Obviously, we touched on Horsham in the south. They've had a squad that's been together for so long. They've taken that momentum, and they're flying now. So I think that's a huge boost for them. So big credit to them. Alid in the chat looks like he had a little change up from the old Red Dragons at Wrexham. So he had a little trip to Merthyr at the weekend. So he said had a great trip to Merthyr to watch them against Curzon Ashton on the Saturday. Thankfully got my head off the performance on Friday evening. Well, at least you got a couple of goals out of it, and it wasn't. Well, I hope that's so. It wasn't a last minute winner. I thought it was a pretty late goal. Lee Lucas getting the winner there for Merthyr. Again, they've had an excellent season. It's just they're staying 3rd. I mean, I think they've got to be in contention for probably the team of the season so far. I mean, I know we talk about teams that win leagues, but look at them. I know no one expects them to be anywhere near the top 7, but look at them. They're only 6 points off the top. What a credit for them.
And not only that. So let's look at the facts here. They've only just come up to this division this year, and they are the top scorers in the division. They got 51 goals. Obviously, the very prolific Ricardo Reis, who got the first goal on Saturday from the penalty spot. But that is quite staggering. It's their 4th win in 5. Reis, the top scorer in that division. I know I missed the National League South, but just to say that the top scorer in the National League South, who's Brad Dollahan of Worthing, came on our podcast yesterday, and that's come out today. And I'm sure we'll be talking about the top scorer in the National League in a little while as well. But all the big hitters all scored at the weekend. Reis got 1, Dollahan got 2, and the other one got 3. But we'll keep our powder dry on that one for now.
Yeah, definitely for sure. I think we could probably take a slight guess at who you're talking about in that one. And I know one person who's not in our podcast, on the panel tonight, we've certainly been singing his praises about him. But we'll come on to that. Just as well, touching on about any other results. I mean, is there any other results that stands out for anyone? I mean, Curzon Buxton losing to AFC Telford at home. Big win for Telford, because they say they've been up and down, and they say Buxton have really slipped off actually to be honest, a cliff a little bit, because they were right up there, sort of around the playoffs, and now they're sitting 7 points off relegation. I mean, what's sort of been going on down there at the moment?
Yeah, tough times at Buxton. Not a club that I've watched or been to actually. But obviously, I hear a lot about Telford through Dickie, who's on our podcast, and sadly, he wasn't able to come on this weekend or last weekend. We didn't do one when they won, so I think he's just keeping his head down. You know, don't do a podcast, Telford win. Don't do a podcast, Telford win. Aidan or Adam, I'm not sure how you say it. George got both goals for them. One 4 minutes in and one 14 minutes from time, and another really precious win for Telford, which keeps them above Buxton in the table. And I think they're making a pretty good showing in their first season back at this level, aren't they? I don't suspect they're going to be involved in the playoffs or the relegation fight, but they probably would have bit your hand off for that before a ball was kicked.
Yeah, definitely. I just started touching on a couple of results. And one, yes, no, we don't have to talk about it. If he's not in the chat, it didn't happen. So we'll talk all you want about Dale, but we won't talk about the other lot.
Exactly. Ollie who?
He only scores pens. Bedford Town 1, Marine 1, Chorley 4, Hereford 2, Darlington 1, Kings in Town 1. And also a couple of draws at the bottom with Southport and Worksop, and also Spennymoor. Obviously, Spennymoor, we already touched on all drawing one. Also, a few draws in there, but pretty much as probably expected, to be honest, where we are in the league at the moment. A lot of not real big shock results, I'd say, to be honest. But anything else wants to touch on the National North, or we were quite happy?
I think me and Jem want to get on to the National League.
I wonder why that is.
No,
First time in season, I think.
Sam, put us through to the league table, and then we'll have these two have their moment.
Right, see what happens. Here we go.
Here we are. Right, so sitting top of the National League North is South Shields on 49 points. Aylesbury Fylde sitting just below him in second with 47 points. Merthyr Town third, unbelievably, on 43 points. Kidderminster Harriers on fourth on 37 points. Radcliffe fifth with 36 points. Scarborough in sixth with 35 points. And Darlington seventh with 33 points. And in the bottom four, we have, well, for me, surprisingly, but again, they've still got a few games to catch up on. Hereford in 21st with 20 points. Peterborough Sports 22nd, also on 20 points. Alfreton Town 23rd with 19 points. And sitting bottom of the National North is Leamington with 13 points. Right, move on to the National League. So, Jen, before no, I'll come to you, Rob, because and before we talk, any standout result for you over the weekend?
Can I just say that you learnt from the best there with Shah? That's exactly what Shah would do with us right now. She'd say, Jen, who do you want to talk about other than Morecambe? Rob, who do you want to talk about other than Aldershot?
I just like delaying you.
You know what? As you've thrown me in first, I'm going to do what we all would have done if we'd have gone first. And I'm going to mention Altrincham 0, Rochdale 3.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done, Rochdale. No, all joking apart, a game or two in hand, but Rochdale, top of the tree at Christmas. And I did send Shah a little voice note over the weekend just to say, look, I know it's only halfway, and I know you won't be getting carried away, but that is an achievement to reach the halfway stage of the season, to be top of the table. Again, with a clean sheet. I've lost count of the number of clean sheets they've had. The best defence in the division, and they're often free scoring 2 or 3 goals as well. And they had to do it. I'm sure Shah would say, if she was here, without Beckwith, without Diasaruwe, and without somebody else important whose name I can't think of. They signed a Charlie Waller, I think his name is, on Friday to replace Beckwith in the side. And Tom Jolly, who edits and produces our podcast, was at the game. He commentated on it for Robin's, I forget what it's called, Robin's TV or whatever it is for Altrincham. And he said, strangely, Altrincham changed their shape for the game. They played a 4-4-2. They normally play a 3-5-2. Rochdale played a 3-5-2. And Rochdale really cantered to the victory, really. Altrincham didn't particularly lay a glove on them until it was too late in the second half. A really good win for Rochdale. I don't know if you've got it up there, Ben, and you want to add the scorers. But we did give it some good coverage on our pod, and one of the things we we said about Rochdale or one of the things Tom said, I beg your pardon, was that a big shout out to Ryan East, who was really, really good player on the day. Who got the goals then?
So goals from Joe Pritchard, Conor McBride, and Tyler Smith made up the goal scorers. So I know Tyler Smith's been in a bit of goal scoring form recently. But again, everyone seems to be firing the goals in for the day at the moment. I haven't actually seen Conor McBride's goal yet, so I probably need to watch it. I normally watch the Dale highlights before we come on the pod, but I haven't this week, so that's my fault. But like that's an outstanding from again another fairly localish game for them as well. Like I say, those sort of games it's easy to slip up in. But I think I know, like I say, Shah won't be looking any more than the next game and everything like that. I know she's that sort of person, but at this point of the season now, you have got to start getting excited a little bit. Surely, Shah, it's got to be, because like they are in a good place at the moment. Like, yeah, I think obviously York now is starting to look far on cylinders. They're scoring goals for fun. You've still got obviously Forest Green on the tails, Boreham Wood as well. They're certainly not going away. Let's put it that way. But it's just like a case of, can they take those games in hand? Like take advantage of it, because that's what it's boiled down to the end of the day. And again, we said before, the pitch plays a big factor, and if they can avoid many more postponements with that pitch, then they've got every chance. But it is such a difficult one.
I think it's being relayed now, isn't it? They're going off to elsewhere, aren't they? So they're nice. They're nicely on track. And if I had to pick one other team in the division, and I don't want to overdo my bit because I know Jen wants to talk and yourself, but if I was to pick one other team in the division that I could compare with the way they're going about this season, it's Boreham Wood, also defending lots of clean sheets, often scoring freely. Those are the two teams that I think that have got the perfect cocktail. I think York have just got an awful amount, a lot of goals in them, and we'll come on to them in a bit. But there's no reason for me why Rochdale and Boreham Wood can't stay right in the mix, other than the slight concern with Boreham Wood on the size of their squad, but they have strengthened it this week. But enough from me. Just a quick word on Altrincham, that's all. 3 defeats in 4. They did have a bit of a new manager bounce under Neil Gibson, but it's fizzled out a little bit in recent games. That said, Rochdale and the 3 or 4 teams around them at the top end of the table are really quite classy, and they're well-oiled machines, aren't they, this season? My own teams they've just come out of a run of fixtures against most of them, and it's very difficult even trying to get a point. Yeah,
that's it. I think it's looking at 4 or 5 team title race at the moment. There's a bit. Look at the gap. I think between, for one thing, 7th and 6th is 8 points between Southend and Scunthorpe. Those last 2 playoff spots. So it's sort of leading in towards what would be a very, very interesting second half of the season, and probably you're almost looking like it could be like the title race we saw in the National South last year. With 5-6 teams could win it. It really is that close at the moment, and
that would be incredible.
But it makes that great advert for non-league football, particularly the top end. But hopefully, Charles' nerves can take it in the second half of the season, because I certainly couldn't. Well, obviously, great win for you guys at the weekend. I bet you've been rubbing that in at Christian a little bit, I would have thought, over the weekend.
No, I mean, I haven't actually at all. I haven't. I felt really bad about it, and that's truthful. We've all got good friends in football, and you talk about bragging rights, but actually, when you like people, when they're your friends, you know what it feels like when you're on the wrong end of that result. Sometimes you win and you want to crow about it, and other times you win and you're just happy, you're just relieved that the game went your way that day. I don't really know Jen. I don't really know you too well, Jen, but I watched your passion towards the end of last season, the beginning of this, talking about Morecambe, and I felt so heavy-hearted when you guys had to travel up to our place less than 48 hours after your very first, and I didn't take a lot of joy from that win either. So, I'm really glad you mentioned it, actually, Ben, because I felt quite awkward about it. I'm there commentating on the game. I've got Christian right behind me doing the PA, and we had a few conversations throughout the afternoon, but it means a lot to us. We all are passionate about our clubs, Sam included, when it comes to Manchester United. I'm pretty sure, Sam, 24 hours after, you'll still be hurting from yesterday, right?
It's so much so we're doing a quiz tomorrow. We're not talking Premier League, so that's how I feel about
That's
that
a
one.
good
So.
decision. Great decision, that, Sam. Yeah, so anyway, I don't know. Do we want to hear from Jen? I think on Morecambe's win before I rabble on any more about Aldershot. I don't know.
We certainly can do. Jen, I mean, I'll tell you what, that's a big 3 points at the bottom of the table, I have to say. How did you see it?
Yeah, it was going into it. It was a huge one. It had to be a must win. Like there was no if or but about it. We had to go into Christmas with a win. There was no other way around it. And obviously, with the FA Trophy, we had both of our goalkeepers injured, so we had to make an emergency signing. Which, to be fair to Miles, he was absolutely incredible in the FA Trophy, and he is still around at the minute while Archie is recovering. But it was incredible to have Jamal back in the six. When you've got a 6'6" guy in between in your net who will do anything to stop that ball, he made some incredible saves yesterday to keep us still in the game. So it's good to have our goalkeeper back. But most importantly, we had to win it. It was watching it and going into it, I was like, right, if we lose this, it's going to be huge. I know people are already calling for Ash's head. That's a totally different matter. But for me, we had to go in and win it. So when it first started, it was a bit here and there. There wasn't really much going on. And then we got to like the 31st minute and George just banged it in from a goalkeeping error from their side. And I was like, right, that's it. And then you start to kind of panic as a Morecambe fan because you know if you're in front, they're probably going to score in the next 5 minutes because that's usually what happens. So when we went in at half-time and we were already 1-0 up, we were like, right, that's great. Let's just keep going. Let's keep pushing. And then he comes back out, George, and I love George. He's a great player. And he scores again to get his second goal of the game. And then that was it for us. It was the 70th minute. I felt like we did an excellent job defending, forwarding, attacking. Everything was perfect. So for us now going into Boxing Day, it's going to be a very, very difficult game against Rochdale. I don't see if we can get a point out of that, huge. But Rochdale are a very, very good team at the minute. And
Where's that game, Jen, on Boxing Day? Where is it?
At home.
You're at home, right? Gotcha.
Yeah. So we will be back on the motorway at 6 o'clock in the morning, so Liam can get to work for 9 o'clock. So that's great. But yeah, it's difficult as a fan at the minute because obviously we go back to the beginning of the season where we didn't have a club and we didn't know what was going on, and we're going into Christmas now with a win and a huge win at the bottom. Obviously, there's some really tough games now. We've obviously got Rochdale on Boxing Day, and then we've got Carlisle away on the Tuesday night, which again is another. They're two teams that are massive. So if we can get a point out of either of them, huge. But on like a personal level, I'm just so happy to see a win and see not only the players happy and Ash happy and everyone like that. I think it's more see Liam because he has been a little bit stressed with everything behind the scenes, what's going on, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we needed the win. We're still in the relegation zone, but it's incredibly tight down there now.
And there's a few more teams involved.
Stuff to say, but it's so tight at the bottom that one win could get you out and one loss could drag you right down to the bottom. It's really that close at the minute.
What you did, Jem, was you inflicted Brackley's 5th consecutive defeat, which means they are literally goal difference outside of it now. Yeah. They've been sucked back into it. Braintree are still in it. Sutton, to be fair, have pulled away a little bit of late. Boston have been dragged a little bit back into it. And, you know, we looked at the bottom end of the National League table, didn't we? No more than a fortnight ago. And it looked like 4 teams from 5 were going down. It looks very different now. It looks like 4 from 7 or 4 from 8. And that for that reason, you and I, because our teams are down there, will be feeling, I guess, a little bit more optimistic about our chances of survival, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. I feel we have a good squad. Like, we have an incredible squad. And there's the only thing that generally worries me is Jamal is on loan and he could go back in January. And I don't think we have, no offense to Archie at all, but I don't think we have a goalkeeper like Jamal. He's 6'6". He's a big guy. Like, if you see him, he's a bit of a scary guy because he is that big, but he's literally so nice. But if we lose him in January, that could be huge for us because I think yesterday he made about 3 or 4 incredible saves, and he's kept us in a lot of games. That's why I was a bit worried with the FA Trophy when he went out. I was like, okay, yeah, this could be a tough one. But Miles did unbelievable for us in that one. But it's hard because you're obviously coming up to January. You're going to lose some players who have performed for you. But I think we'll be okay. I think it's just getting past these next 2 fixtures, see what happens in them, and then focus on people who are in and around us. Rochdale and Carlisle are at the top of the table. They're probably going to go up kind of. We don't fully know, but they are 2 incredible teams, and whatever happens over the next 2 games is going to happen. It is what it is. But after that, we focus on the teams in and around us and getting the results from there.
I mean, two wins as well, Jen. Back-to-back clean sheets. Does that sort of relieve a bit of pressure off Ash at the moment, or is still the jury out on him at the moment?
It's hard because I still think he has time to prove himself. I just think with how many times we've lost, the fans will start to turn on how many times you lose, and you are in the relegation zone. Fans are going to come for you. I still think he needs a bit more time, but I generally don't think he'll be going anywhere this season. If I'm honest, I don't think they will get rid of him. We're 21st. We're not like bottom of the table. If it comes to it and we are bottom of the table, then maybe something will change. But for now, I think for me personally, I think his job is safe.
Yeah. Keep the vibe, Jen. Like I say, there's still a big, long way to go yet. And like I say, a couple of wins in Sunday, you're right away from it. That's how close it is at the moment. So, it's going to be an interesting. But at least you're in and around there, and you're not in Truro's position, though, because I'll be 4 viewers in a row. But like I say, it's still 23 games to go. So much can happen. So much football to play. But you never know. You might even pull a shock on the Boxing Day. Not trying to rile up Shah at all.
They're angry. Not coming.
She don't think it'll be an easy one. And like I say, they're struggling with injuries. Well, a couple of players off of the AFCON as well. Oh, I didn't realize. Al-Araki.
I think it's just Al-Araki, isn't it?
I was going to say not Manny D. I was thinking that for a second, but I mean, I would have given a call up if he was playing for an African nation, to be honest. And his goal was scoring streak this year.
I think it's Tanzania or Tanzania, depending on how you say it. That Al-Araki plays for. Good luck to him and any other players that have gone off to AFCON from this level.
Definitely. Did you want to touch on the performance at Boston at all, Rob? Or was it?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'm just conscious that I'd already been talking quite a bit, so I didn't really want to do another go. I want to talk about the togetherness and belief in the playing squad at Aldershot. It's easy to talk about team spirit when you're winning week in, week out. In all the years that I've played in and watched and commentated on football, I can't ever remember seeing a team that was taking a pounding week after week, 7 defeats out of 8, that was still so together, and certain things sound hollow in football. One is when you moan about injuries because everybody gets them. Another one's referees. And the other one is, you say, oh, you lost 2-1, but we played really well for good periods. And that gets really frustrating. But those players kept their belief. I've kept my belief in the job that John Coleman's doing. I can see when you watch the 90 minutes every week, you can see little improvements as long as you can emotionally sometimes stand back from the result. And it had been coming. These wins had been coming. It's back-to-back league wins now against Altrincham and against Boston. I've got to tell you about the first goal because it was, if anybody remembers that Troy Deeney goal, it's what happened. And John Coleman said in 1,400 games as a manager, this has never happened to one of his teams before. But a quarter of an hour in, Boston get a penalty. Boyce Clark, our goalkeeper, saves it. And within 25 seconds, we've burst up the left wing. Josh Barrett's rolled it across and the skipper, Ryan Hill, has bundled it in at the far post. I can't tell you that must be absolutely awful if you're the team that think you're about to go 1-0 up and then go 1-0 down. And that's one of the reasons why I do feel for Christian. But the elation of the 124 Aldershot Town fans that were there, it was a lunchtime kickoff. It was a fairly long trip for them. It wasn't a great number. But the passion that and the emotion that released was incredible, because you literally think, oh, my God, here we go again. And then bang, you take the lead. And it was a lovely moment. And I think we'd like to think that it might be pivotal. It might be a moment that we look back at that helped to change our season. You know, we were really, really good value for the victory after that. We got a second goal as well soon after. And truth be told, we had a third as well. Even the Boston fans said it was over the line, but somehow the officials didn't think it was. That would have been a debut goal for our Charlie that we signed on Friday, Charlie Warren from Bolton. Boston, much to Graham Coughlin's frustration, didn't really lay a glove on Aldershot in the second half. Aldershot actually played the game quite cleverly. The fact that they were 2-0 up. And yeah, I think they were deserved winners on the day. For Boston, it's not quite happening at the moment. They can't seem to get a home win again. They generally were making more of a fist of things this season. But I don't know. We'll look at the table after we've reviewed all the matches. But I think they're not out of trouble. I think they're on the fringes of it. And if their current form continues, they could get sucked in.
Yeah, I think you're right in saying that, actually, because, you know, if they've got a win, you'd be looking sort of around sort of the mid-table mark. And that's the thing. It's results like that, though, for Aldershot that will show, you know, that they are capable. That's the thing of getting themselves out of trouble. And it's those sort of games that they need to take points from in order to stay in the division. Like I say, it's been a bit of a turbulent season, you know, obviously on and off the pitch for a number of reasons, as you well know. But does that feel like, you know, it's a step down in the right direction, that they can, you know, get themselves out of trouble with a win like that? Is there that belief now, would you say?
I think so. I think they kept their belief while they were losing, and I think that's really to their credit. And obviously they've got a different kind of challenge now. They've won back-to-back league games, and we go to Sutton on Boxing Day. That's a little bit different. We're used to just being at home to Woking every year on Boxing Day. That'll be tough. Sutton have won 3 of their last 4. They did get as we'll come on to, I'm sure, they got a good beating at Solihull Moors. They did have a player sent off, the captain, Pruti. But yeah, I think there's genuine belief there. I think there's recognition that you can't do it for a game or a couple of games. You're going to have to do it. You know, look, Jen's team, my team, we're going to need top 10, top 12 form in the second half of the season to make sure that we're in this division next year. So nobody's going to underestimate that. But the key thing for an Aldershot fan looking in at this is quite simply this. 2 weeks ago, or 2 games ago, we were 7 points off safety. And admittedly, 1 or 2 of the teams hadn't played, or maybe had one game and not got a result. But it's now 1 point, and that feels a hell of a lot better. Yeah,
I'm sure it does. I mean, I wish I could say the same for another side at the bottom of the table, Mr. Luke. I'm sure he's probably having kittens at the moment. We're having to watch Casey every week. 3-1 defeat at home to Eastleigh. He has sent his match report in. So he says, for the 10th time in a row, it's another loss for Gateshead. Fans have given up. Players have given up. One of, if not one of the worst run club in the country. Relegation is looking likely. And it says a lot when one of our lone players was absolutely livid at the end of the game, that's storming off into the changing rooms. I could go on and what's going wrong. We have Carlisle at home next. Expect us to get beat yet again. I know Carlisle have sold out their away allocation, haven't they, for that? So that's probably not going to help them in terms of, you know, where they are at the moment, because they really need that backing. I mean, what is going on at Gateshead? Because like I said, they're probably, for me, I've always said for the last couple of years, they've been one of the most free-flowing football teams, you know, in the National League. You know, I love the way they try to play, but this year it's just gone completely wrong for them. I mean, can anyone put a finger on it at the moment?
It's so strange. Like, obviously, we played them in the FA Trophy, and we were obviously all joking, saying, "Oh, it's going to be one of them games because we're both as bad as each other," kind of thing. But no offense to League, but they are bad. Like, we easily put goals past them, and there was no. Miles, even though he only trained with us for a week, he didn't really have to do anything in the game, and it's hard to say what's going on with them, because they've done well in past seasons. So why are they suddenly right down at the bottom? We were talking of them getting promoted and how they had to fight the council and stuff to even try and be able to play in the playoffs. So why are we now talking about them being in the relegation zone? It doesn't make sense. But obviously I couldn't watch the FA Trophy, but from what I heard from Liam and people that went, is that they're just not together as a team at the minute, and they're very much bickering a lot and arguing with each other, and that's not the team that you want to be trying to get out of a relegation zone. You need to be a team unit to fight to get the points that are needed, and right now they just don't look like they're going to be able to get any points on the board.
I've got a couple of thoughts on Gateshead, Ben.
Yep.
I think what's happening there now is what some of us felt surely at some point might start to happen to Gateshead, because they continually overachieved. They've had manager after manager poached by higher clubs. They've had player after player poached by higher clubs. And still, they kept this kind of unity, togetherness, a way of playing. But gradually, the guts have been taken out of that team. And the majority of those players aren't there anymore. It seems from the outside looking in that it's also a club that lacks direction, that lacks leadership, and frankly has a real task on its hands. You know, when you're getting crowds like the one, I didn't see what the crowd was for this game, forgive me, but I know against Boreham Wood 2 or 3 weeks ago it was 539. That's really difficult to sustain National League football on. Mm-hmm. So I think all of that I've just mentioned, plus then results on the pitch starting to slip, getting into a rut, losing. I didn't realise, Luke, I guess he's talking about all competitions, 10 games on the trot now. That's staggering. I know they've only won one game at home all season, and the reason I remember that stat is it was against my side very early on in August. But yeah, it's desperate times for Gateshead at the moment, and they've suddenly dropped into the relegation zone. And thanks to Morecambe and all the shots wins, they've dropped right down to second bottom as well.
Yeah,
that's a good.
I was going to mention this because I know obviously Gateshead's attendances aren't that all great, but lots have 431 for their game against City, and obviously just the week before in the FA Trophy against Morecambe, 363 is what I've seen. And these are attendances I'd expect in the 7th, 8th tier of the English game, not in the 5th tier. And they have got it's a difficult one where you've got clubs around the area that've got big support bases, and they just aren't the catchment of the area. And it is a shame because they play at such a good level, Gateshead. Like I say, for the last few years they've been playing such good football, but and it's not trying to put any insult to Luke and everything like that, but it is a very soulless club in terms of that. You look at the stadium and you think, why would you want to go there every week? I mean, you can watch the best football you want. I'd love to go on the away trips. I bet the away trips are absolutely amazing, but it just like something you're saying, Rob, I think it does lack a bit of direction at the moment. They do seem to lose, just when they're getting a real high, they seem to be dropped back down a couple of levels, and then it really is difficult. And it also just proves that that big maybe chance of promotion was a couple of years ago when they couldn't be involved in the playoffs because of the dispute with the council. It's such a hard gig for them at the moment. I really do feel for them, to be fair.
Yeah, I completely concur. It's gone on for years, isn't it? It's not just the loss of players and managers. It's the not being able to play in those playoffs. It's the way they lost their National League status, and I know it was my team that benefited from that at the time. But just an awful time, and a time when you look to your hardcore support, and it's right down to a bare minimum right now, isn't it? Yeah, really worrying times for Gateshead. I don't think they'll have. I'm Carlisle going to Gateshead, if I've got that right in my head, that they've sold 2,000. They're going to have about 2,400 or 2,500 for that one. Wouldn't it just be football? Wouldn't it just be football if Gateshead managed to find a result in that one? I know Luke's going to say absolutely no chance, but I'm a believer that any team in this division on their day can beat any team if you don't turn up right.
Yeah, and that's why I always say this division is the most difficult of all being in English football to us for that specific reason, because everyone can give each other a game. Although it wasn't quite at the end for Truro City. Looking towards the top end of the table, losing 4-0 at home to York City. We haven't mentioned the name, but I feel like we've got to. Ollie Pearce, another hat-trick for him. Absolutely just phenomenon in terms of his goal-scoring record just continuing. And like I say, we just had the comment there saying a big shout-out to the 103 Truro City fans that made the 800-mile trip to York and they didn't stop singing. And you have got to give them credit as well. I mean, obviously, that they've been travelling in their numbers this year. They're fair play to, because it is such a difficult task for them to find the time and everything like that. The amount of probably annual leave some of those supporters have to take to go on the Friday as well for some games. But you have to remember as well that your game was a 5:30 kickoff, which again, DAZN probably not have looked at that very well. I know Boreham Wood were very vocal about it a few weeks ago with the late kickoffs and stuff. And I'm not saying it would have made a difference in terms of maybe getting a result at York, but it must have some sort of effect. And you got to feel for them when they're being told, dictated by a company like DAZN to say, no, you're playing at 5:30, and they just don't take consideration for the away fans. It just must be awful for them.
Yeah.
I hate highlighting negatives, I really do, but I think it's got to be said. Nobody really knew what the hell this was about this weekend, just gone by. Apparently some sort of festive feast of football, but very little publicity about it. I think disappointing, from the National League's point of view. They've made the call to split all the fixtures all over the weekend, paired up the games. I did tune in myself yesterday to the multi-match live with Aaron McLean and watching the Boreham Wood, Carlisle and the Halifax Wealdstone games. I thought that was good coverage. But I think the National League really need to get behind these initiatives and promote them a little bit more than they did. From the outside looking in, it looked a little bit lazy. It looked a little bit clueless. And we want to feel proud of the people running our league because we're passionate about this league. I think we need to call it out and say, step your game up.
Yeah. It's like when they moved the Brackley game for us. Obviously, it was going to be an overnight stay anyway for Liam because it's 3.5 hours away. Anything over 2 hours is an overnight stay, which is pretty much half the league. But Sunday is the only day we fully get together as a couple. That is the only day out of the week we get together, and the fact they changed it to a Sunday. And it wasn't just the 3 o'clock kickoff, it was the 12 o'clock kickoff. I mean, for 3.5 hours away, yes, the players and the staff can stay over the night before, but for the fans, they're having to get up at silly o'clock in the morning to go to a game, especially over Christmas, so close to Christmas. I just feel there was no need to move the game to a Sunday at 12 o'clock. And I think we've got another one with York at home, and I'm pretty sure that's like a 5:30 kickoff. But luckily, it's not too far because we did York away. But if it was like Truro or something like that, they'd have to set off at God knows what time to get to us. And I just think that even the league and DAZN, they just don't think about the fans or the staff that work at the club or anything like that. Like, everyone has a life outside of football, and it's hard when you're with someone that works in football. There's only so much time in the week that you actually get together, and the fact they changed it to a Sunday at 12 was just not the right decision.
No, I totally agree with that. It's like, I think for me, and it's my own personal opinion, by the way, not any of the podcast, but I think since the move from TNT Sports to DAZN, it's just not worked, in my opinion. That can't compare. I mean, like the golden days of TNT or BT Sport at the time, covering the National League was absolutely superb. It gave great publicity for the league. I mean, obviously, the obvious one being when Wrexham and Notts County were both going at it. I've never seen the National League get such publicity like it did that year. And ever since then, it's just fallen off the cliff for a little bit. And it's a massive shame because this is, for me, arguably the most entertaining league in the country. Yeah. Just how open it is. You've got so many clubs in there, ex-league clubs and amongst some clubs that are punching but well above their weight. It's like a proper, competitive division that maybe you don't get in the Premier League now these days. No offense, Sam.
That's because a certain team's not battling up at the top, Ben. That's why.
That's true, yeah. But it is just so, like I say, difficult for clubs. And you can't be making a lot of money out of it. Like, that's the thing. Like, if you're having to, pay for overnight stays, if you're paying for a game that's like 12 o'clock in, the afternoon, or even a 5:30 game, the financial implications of some clubs, it must be horrendous for them because they can't be making much money out of it by having to make all these extra adjustments. It must be terrible.
Yeah.
Well done, those 103 Truro fans anyway. Got to see something I saw when I went to York as well, an Ollie Pearce hat-trick. He just, I just don't know what else we've got to say about Ollie Pearce. I've mentioned this once before, but there were people that thought that he might struggle to score the goals he did at the level below coming up. That he was 29, 30 years old. Nah, if anything, York are doing well to keep him nice and happy and keep him in the National League. He has a great chance, of course, to go up to the EFL with them this season. But I know Christian, who's obviously not with us tonight, and he's Boston, obviously, is a bit wary of Boxing Day. Boston, out of form, are going to York, and York have scored at least 3 goals in all the last 5 or 6 games. But he did point out that Boston went to York and won 2-0 last season. So he'll be praying for another miracle at Christmas.
Just some added context here. York City, 59 goals in 22 games. The next best is Boreham Wood, 42 goals in 22 games. That just tells you where the levels are. I know Rochdale are a couple of games behind, but even then, that's just phenomenal at the moment. You've got to give Stuart Maynard a lot of credit for what he's done. You know, he's took on a difficult job, and everyone thought, is he going to be able to replicate what Adam Hitchwood started there? But I think, do you know what? He stepped up to the task there, and they're playing such good football again. I mean, if it hadn't had such a bad start to the season, they could have been, really clear at the top of the table right now. But like I say, with 22 games to go, it's still 24 games left. There's still a lot of time for that, and that's why I feel like they might start, really hitting the heights and that. But it will be to see, like I say, Rochdale can just keep up that pace. A couple other, like I say, wins as well in the sort of playoff area. Woking 1, Scunthorpe United 2, Scunthorpe again. Again, just quietly going under the radar at the moment, aren't they? They're just, chipping out the way those wins. Not really a lot was expected of them coming back up, obviously from National North this year. But, they're certainly a side to be reckoned with at the moment. They're, like I say, going away from Woking, to Woking that have been in good form recently and, have had a brilliant resurgence last couple of months. They're making themselves known in that playoff pack, aren't they?
Yeah, Danny Whitehall and Declan Howe. Really, really good quality players at this level. And they were the difference. Woking, we have to congratulate them prior to this game on a 10-match unbeaten run. That takes some doing in this league. That really does take some doing. Another frustrating one for them at home. I know they're not happy with their home form. They picked up a lot of wins on the road. But for Scunthorpe, who a lot of people seem quite keen to sort of write off and say, oh, they're the team that's going to drop out of it. Well, they got themselves a nice cushion in those playoffs at the moment, haven't they, points-wise? So they're going really, really well. But I think all things considered, I know there's teams that scored more goals, but the standout result in the division over the weekend is Boreham Wood 2, Carlisle 0.
100%.
If anybody still doubted Boreham Wood, you don't now, do you? Because they've kept a clean sheet. They've scored 2 goals again against Carlisle. And Carlisle have got a lot of goal-scoring ability in their side. I just don't know what else to say about Luke Garrard and his men. They're just so consistent. Abdul Malik scoring again. I know Joe, when he's on our podcast, keeps mentioning every week, but will they keep him in January? He's got to be attracting interest. If you did a list of the top 5 players in the National League right now that could potentially go up to the Football League, he'd definitely be in that list, wouldn't he? League 1, League 2 clubs, they will be doing some shopping. They will be.
I mean, I would just like to point out, I backed Boreham Wood to get in the playoffs this year because I knew exactly that they would be able to carry that momentum. So I know my ball, don't worry.
Good call, brave call. Yeah.
But that's the thing. I think it's just because I saw, that I know the playoff final is very different. That it was just about getting over the line, but I could tell that they changed their playing style to when they played us in the opening, sort of the ending of the season, and it's worked for them. And they've carried that on into this level. And they've got players that say they've been untried at this level before. And like I say, Matt Rush, obviously 15, 16 goals, whatever he's got now. Again, massive player that. I love the Maidstone, but he's just been doing it for Boreham Wood, and you've got to give him a lot of credit. And there's some of the players, Zach Brunt as well, goes under the radar a little bit. His performances in midfield, but I think you're right, Rob. I think the big one is Abdul Malik, if they can keep hold of him. If I was a league, thing is though, if he had a League 2 club coming for him, I would incline to say no to it though, because I feel like, is it really that much respect for that? If a League 1 club coming for him, I would be saying, yeah, go for it. But I think just because of the project and where they are at the moment in the division, it'll almost be like, why would you want to go to maybe somewhere like towards the bottom end of League 2 when you could be getting promotion to the Football League next year. Like, I think he'd be silly to let that one slide. But at the end of the day, players have got to earn a living, and if they're offered probably double wages that they're on at Bournemouth, then you're going to take it at the end of the day. But I think that would be the big challenge. Not just him. I think there's a few other players in that side that are going to need to be, they're going to have to be keeping hold of, because I think they have honestly been the surprise package of that, top 7, because I thought they were going to be in there anyway. But Luke Garrard, he finished off what he started there, and I think he's doing a tremendous job. And I'm a big fan of Luke Garrard anyway. So may long that continue for Bournemouth fans. So but that's a big win against Carlisle the weekend. Another big one as well at the bottom, like we alluded to sort of earlier. So Solihull Moors 4, Sutton United 1. Bit of a dampener for Sutton. Like I said, big resurgence in the last month, but going 4-1 to Solihull, who've been a very poor side, to be honest, for most of the season so far. But I'm sure that win would have given them a big booster, wouldn't it?
Yeah, they've picked up a little bit since Chris Millington's been in there. He knows what he's doing. He's a really well-respected manager in the National League. I don't know. I'm not sure how much it played a part in the game, but the Sutton captain, Edon Pruti, was sent off straight red for a nasty-looking or mistimed challenge. So that was a setback for Sutton after 3 consecutive wins. I'll get a look at firsthand on Boxing Day at how they're shaping up. Since I last saw them, they've changed managers. They've had a number of players come in and out. I think Lewis Simper has been in really good form individually for them this season. He's a player who can hurt you with either foot, especially set pieces around the area, or he gets the opportunity to shoot. But yeah, full credit to Solihull Moors. That's the biggest win of the weekend, along with Yorks, of course, who both sides scoring 4. Whether Solihull Moors under Chris Millington can push on and do what he did with them, what he did with Halifax, and sneak them into the playoffs, I don't know. I'm not sure. It doesn't look like there's many spaces up for grabs in the playoffs, does it? No. Maybe that South End, that 7th place, we'll have to come on to them, of course. Maybe that position might be, they might be fighting for that with 4 or 5 other teams, I think. But we certainly could have a title race that goes the wire, this one.
Let's hope so. I really do hope it goes to the wire, because what an advert it would be for the division, honestly. Yeah. Jen, any other standout results for you over the weekend?
I was probably going to mention Carlisle Bournemouth. I just think it's a huge one at the top of the table, especially for Carlisle. They seem to be on a roll at the minute, so to lose for them, especially for the fans, might have been a bit of a shock, considering how close it is at the top, and they need as many wins as possible because it is so tight at the top, and I generally couldn't predict who's actually going up at all. Yeah,
it's like I say, it's so difficult, because I think everyone's got their own right to win the league for so many different reasons, because they've got such different contrasting styles of football. But I think it will ultimately, I think it will come down a lot to experience. I think a lot of that, because to handle themselves in this situation. I mean, Bournemouth would have got a lot of National League experience, but some of these players wouldn't have been in this situation before, and so it'll be a new challenge for them. Whereas you've got Forest Green, who have got experience of knowing how to deal with this, as a club. York City again, it'd be a case of can they get it over the line. So Carlisle looking for that immediate return. Rochdale, they've sort of, again, maybe not as much pressure on them, I would say, compared to some of the other teams. But again, they've got that team spirit, and they've got goal scorers in that team that will achieve points across the season. So, and even like say going down to 7th place. I mean, Southend showed that they're no mugs either, and you've got Hartlepool, Halifax as well challenging for it. I mean, not saying Wilkestone will get into it, but they're still not been written off. They're still only 3 points off the playoffs at the moment. So it's not going. I think Chelsea he's not the one.
No, no.
5-6 teams that are involved in it. I don't think they can either. But look, you'd rather be in it than not, Charles. You don't want to be in the National League forever, because it's so easy to get stuck in this league forever, as Wrexham found out the hard way.
Shah, listen up. Me and Jen, right, do not want to hear you moaning about whether your title race goes down the wire, okay? So, no, exactly. But no, well done to Tamworth. Yeah, that's the flip side of that Southend slip up there. Archetypal Tamworth goal, the first goal. Tonks throw, Cullinan Labed header. and then a very classy move and finish for the winning goal for Tamworth. But a real setback for Southend. They're going to start to feel the heat. One or two of those teams just behind them. They could have slipped out of the playoffs. Hartlepool had that opportunity, but they went to Braintree, who were just outside the relegation zone. And that one probably ended up a little bit disappointing for both sets of fans at 0-0. Probably a better point for Braintree than it was for Hartlepool.
Yeah, and for Hartlepool as well, been going out the FA Trophy to lower league opposition last week at home would have certainly, ruffled a few of the feathers of the support base, because albeit I know the trophy probably wouldn't have been their priority, but you think that the whole point of giving maybe some players a rest was to get ready for that game, and the fact they haven't gone to Braintree and got a win now, you're probably thinking, well, why didn't we play a stronger side now? It's easy to say in hindsight, isn't it? But that's what football fans will do at the end of the day, won't they? So they'll be looking at a 2-point drop, but it's a good point for Braintree, though. I know they're very hard to beat at home, but they needed something. And like I say, if they can just slowly get a cup of, maybe the odd win against one of the sides in the top sort of 6 or 7 if they can, and then just pick up a couple of draws, that will help them all the way towards getting safety. But again, as we said, it's so close to that bottom and at the top. Just worth mentioning, I know Green Eggs, obviously, we've got in the chat as well. Yeovil Town 0, Forest Green 2. First defeat for Billy Rowley at Yeovil. Obviously, come off two good league wins, and obviously just getting past us in the FA Trophy last week, just about. So yeah, that's the thing. It's probably the first setback they've had, but you can certainly see that he's got these players, playing for him, and there's a whole positive vibe that seems to be around the club. And when I went down there in the trophy last week, so for them they'll be seen as an opportunity now to really try and push on in the division. But obviously Forest Green getting the win. Obviously Greenacres has mentioned about saying, look, they have the experience of challenging for the playoffs as a club, but most of the players have moved up a couple of levels or are young and on loan. And I know a couple of clubs as well have been sneaking around as well, saying, I know Bristol Rovers in particular saying about getting Robbie Savage in as a potential for them. And obviously, look, it's not too far away from from where they play their football at Forest Green. I mean, is that a potential? Do we reckon, or if a chance came up to move it into the Football League, would he take it, or does he really buy into the project that's going on at Forest Green at the moment?
It's a difficult one. Yeah. It'd certainly be a good achievement, wouldn't it, to get Forest Green back to the Football League? Like, it was a big achievement in the first place to get a side that plays effectively in a village called Nailsworth. It would be, but I think we've seen his ambition, Robbie Savage. When he left what we all thought was a great project at Macclesfield, admittedly doing a brilliant job at Macclesfield as well. To get them where he did. But then the opportunity came for the right project at a higher level. And I think that's what it would take to get Robbie Savage away from Forest Green. He seems to have really settled there. He seems to have really bought into it. He loves it. And he's in the middle of a mission right now. But if the right club at a higher level comes in with the right offer and the right project, I think he'd go. I think sometimes you do have to be ruthless to get on in life, in football. The thing is, we all debate it, don't we? But if whatever line of work we did, somebody offered you a promotion, a better company, and an extra 5, 10, 15 grand a year, we're going, right?
Yeah. 100%.
Everyone's got to earn a living, haven't they? And even at this level, football never safe, is it? But I think he'd be silly to go from the project they've got going on Forest Green. And I think Greenacre has already alluded to it, saying that he's not interested in Bristol Rovers. He could well pass him to something. That is a very good point. I mean, why would you go to a club that's struggling in the bottom? It's a bit like what we were saying about Rob Edwards going, from Middlesbrough up to Wolves, and obviously everyone's thinking, look, that's probably a downgrade for them because he could be going back into the Championship before you know it. So it is a difficult one. And I think if you're with a club that's looking for success, then you're not going to get you're going to get that with Forest Green in non-league, because they're always one of those sides that will be near the top. So I think he'd be silly to go there personally. But yeah, we'll certainly see if they can still carry the momentum, and it hasn't been a distraction for them. The only other result I think we didn't touch on was probably Halifax 2, Wealdstone 2. Again, two sides challenging for the playoffs at the moment, but probably a point maybe satisfying Wealdstone probably a little bit more than Halifax, would we say?
Well, when you score the 2 goals that you get in the last 10 minutes from 2-0 down, then yes. I think everybody at Wealdstone will be delighted to come back with a point from that one. Also, interestingly, I mean, as you probably know, I quite often join Luke Walsh on his podcast, but his regular sparring partner is Paul Franklin, who's a Wealdstone fan. So it was the Luke Walsh football podcast derby, that game, and in the end they couldn't be split. But I would say, not sure if I'm going to be one side or the other on this, but I would say there was a very controversial penalty, the first penalty for Halifax in that game. It looked pretty soft to me, but it did look like they were cantering to victory until 10 minutes from time, and it was a bit of a freakish loop off a defender's leg and across and into the top bins for the equalising goal. If you're Wealdstone, you don't care how it goes in.
Yeah.
I'm just going back obviously to the point as well that Forrest Grubbs just in Charles' comment. Offer me a bag of fruit pastilles and I'm ready for a new job.
Feed a fruit pastel and she'll come.
If I got offered the job at Yeovil Town at the time, I would have said, "Give me a year supply of Thatchers," and I'm there because that's all I need.
You need to know what the pasties are like, though, Ben. You know, the pies. Yeah. So I want to know what the local pies are like before coming into that kind of,
That is very true. Particularly, I mean, obviously, Joby has to tell us about down Torquay way. Hopefully, I've never really given their pasties a go. Wonder if they've got any good ones down there, to be fair. So, but yeah, I think other than that, really, I think we've covered it. Does anyone else want to touch anything else in the National League, or are we all quite happy?
Yeah.
Just to follow up quickly on Char's point, I completely get where she's coming from with the fruit pastels, because I used to turn up. I'm married, but I don't live with my wife. So I used to turn up with different things. I turn up with a bunch of flowers or whatever, and she's just completely wasted on me. If you turn up with a Bounty Trio, you're going to get the biggest hug, and that's just sometimes less is more, isn't it?
Not everyone needs like loads of money and fast cars and that to be feel happy. A packet of fruit pastels and people are happy, or unless, as Charles just alluded to as well, the pies and the gravy are for me. Yeah. And I'm surprised you didn't point that out first, Charles, to be fair. I'm a bit surprised by that. You've changed. So yeah, Sam, you can put us onto the league table if you may.
Can indeed.
So who's top of League One, and if League One, of the National League? Each star is in this, this panel right now. But we could say on their behalf, top of the pile is the Dale on 49 points. Just below him, slightly on goal difference, is Forest Green, 49 points as well. York City are third with 48 points. Borewood in fourth with 47 points. Fifth are Carlisle United with 46 points. Scunthorpe United just below them with 43 points, and making up the top 7 are Southend United with 35 points. And in the relegation zone, and it pains me to say is on two occasions, we've got Morecambe in 21st on 20 points. Just below them are Aldershot Town with 19 points. Gateshead 23rd with 19 points, and bottom of the table is Truro City with 15 points. And that is the end of the podcast. Sam, back to you, my good man. You've been very patient sitting there for so long, and thank you.
Having a great time
for us. I do appreciate that, because I know if you gave me the graphics at this moment in time, I'd probably end up, finishing the live stream without even knowing it. So thank you for that.
That's been easy for me. I just sit here pressing buttons, listening to you guys. It's like I've sort of, sipping on my coffee. I've had a great night. No, well done. Thank you, everybody. Fantastic show. And well done to Ben as well, because as I said sort of last time, stepping in, coming in and hosting, it's not all as easy as it appears. He's done a fantastic job and pushing everything through. So well done, everybody. Absolutely brilliant. I just want to say, obviously, it's our last non-league show of the year. So thank you to everybody who has watched, supported, liked, subscribed, commented, watched, been involved with us. Obviously, this is our first, we've not done a full year yet, but obviously we started in April. It's been a fantastic venture. I know sort of when Char and I were talking about it earlier in the year, we're hoping it could be a good thing. And I think as well, much to be honest, the fantastic efforts of Char as well, I think has made that the case, and everybody who's been on the team. But of course, you guys and gals that watch the show really do make it. And thank you so much for supporting us all the way through to here we are, to the end of 2025. So massive thanks to you. And there you go. See, Char's giving you the props there, Ben, you see. Absolutely smashing it. So yeah, all it's left to do is to find out where to follow these wonderful people if you're not already, which is just scandalous as it is Christmas after all. Ben, where can everybody find you, check you out?
If they want a bit more Ben in their life, which I'm sure not a lot of people do, but if you can bear it, it's Ben Stones FC1 on the Twitter, if that's where you want to find me.
Magic stuff. And Rob, where can everybody find you at NL Full Time, of course? I know you had an episode out as well. Tell us all about that and plug that for us.
Yeah, just it's like, same 3 divisions, but just that, our review of the weekend, and we were joined for some of that by Brad Dollahan, the Worthing striker, and that one's out on most podcasting platforms. And we normally come out every week. I sort of say that, but we didn't do one last week because we didn't have anyone to produce or edit it. But thoroughly enjoy the link up with Absolute Football Podcast as well. Thoroughly enjoyed everything we've done with you guys since April. You can find me at RobShot66 or NL Full Time.
Magic stuff. And Shafts, am I doing a live Wednesday and Thursday? Well, Wednesday maybe live review of my prawn cocktail from a Christmas dinner. That might be about as much as you get. But no, I'm having a couple of days off for Christmas. It's happening. But Jen, where can everybody find you?
So it's Jen Hunt _ on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. You can find me there.
Magic, do check Jen out. Absolutely wonderful. And if I can find the socials, which is coming up, and I don't know what this is going to do to us with the new graphics and the pictures, so beware, we could go anywhere. We've gone to the right place. Do follow the Absolute Football Podcast. That is us, of course. We were the best new content creator at the Football Content Awards. Don't have to say which year it did happen. We can claim that forever. But of course, we are 4 shows a week usually. Of course, this week it's different. There's Christmas going on, so we will be back in the new year with Absolutely Non-League show, of course, on a Monday at 8:30. Tuesday, we've got one more Absolutely Premier League show, which is a quiz. Grimmy is doing a quiz. He's been very secretive about it, so I'm not sure what's happening. I don't know what it's about. It might be about football. It might not. It might be about the Premier League. It might not. But do check us out tomorrow to find out. Festive jumpers and eggnog and all sorts of stuff there. So that's tomorrow. Absolutely Women's Football show. They're on hiatus for Christmas as well. Team Chaos. They had their Christmas do last week where they were discussing the Christmas Dinner 11, which was possibly the most random discussion I think I've seen on any of our podcasts so far, debating where they were going to put cauliflower cheese in the first 11, which is a very different kind of chat. But if you love Team Chaos and you'll know what they're all about on a Wednesday, they're back in the new year. And of course, the Absolute Lower League show with the Rowdy Rabble, who are back in the new year also on a Thursday. You can check us out on Twitter, Absolute Ball Pod, YouTube and Twitch, Absolute Football Podcast, TikTok, Absolute Football Pod, Instagram, Absolute Football Podcast _ Blue Sky Absolute Football, and Facebook, the Absolute Football Podcast. Check us out there. And all that's left to do is say thank you to everybody in the chat as well, all coming in with your Merry Christmases. Thank you as well. Have a wonderful Christmas. We also get it's not always the best and easy time for people out there. So if you are struggling or whatever, do reach out, do support. It is a difficult time for some people. And we just send all our love and wishes for the holiday season. And take care. And we'll catch you very, very, very soon. Ciao.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.